All right, guys, we're back. Now, Bernie just said something very interesting. As you guys can tell, we just abruptly went offline, right? And Bernie said that what technology works when it works.
It's good only when it works.
It's good only when it works. So Ray had to do his magic and get us back online. I'm sorry, guys, that we had to just abruptly stop. It was out of our control. We had nothing to do with it. Something just happened. But we're back again, so we can continue, so we can finish up. Because also, his beloved, she needs some food in her body. And I don't want oh, this man. Come on, I don't want her to jump over this table and strangle me. She's not going to strangle her hubby. She's going to strangle me because I'm the one holding the hostage for this show. All right. So you were saying something about you're mentioning something.
Yeah. Well, we spoke earlier. I mentioned something earlier about the SB 4D, Senate Bill 4D that was passed.
Right.
And it's a law that all buildings that's every condominium and co-op that's 3 units and up needs to meet a specific requirement.
Right.
And the actual insurance is causing a big problem in these condos where folks are paying additional. They saw their maintenance doubled over the past year and a half to 2 years because of the increase in the insurance. What has happened is the board of a lot of these communities have actually tried to assist with lowering the actual insurance. So what they did was they increased the deductible on the master policy for the building. When you increase the deductible, the premium goes down and vice versa. When you lower the deductible, the premium goes up like any insurance, right? So they have done that. Now, what has happened is Fannie Mae, the big purchasers of loans, as a guideline, their deductible is 5% max. So a lot of these associations has increased their deductible over that 5% to lower the premium.
Oh, and Fannie Mae is not having that.
So Fannie Mae is not having that. So if you want to purchase one of these condos and you have a Fannie Mae pre-approval letter or a Freddie,
they're not going to allow you to buy it.
You can't buy it. So you have to go to a subprime lender, someone that's willing to take on that risk of a high deductible.
But a high interest rate on their returns on their investment.
Of course, you have
on their loan.
Yes, you have to pay. The higher the risk, the more
higher
you
the
pay.
Reward for the investor.
That is correct. So a lot of folks find themselves not been priced out, not able to afford a condo, and decide to go rent as well, or they have to pay cash. So a lot of these units has been sold is up for, you can only purchase it cash, or else it just sit there and not sold. So that's another reason for this issue here, the disaster zone, the market in free fall, the condo in free fall, because of high insurance, as you saw in the article, and among other things as well.
Yeah, Ray, I see something on the screen. Are we good? It says still watching. It's a countdown. Are we good?
You say you see a countdown?
Yeah, on this screen. Keep streaming. Everybody see that, right?
Yeah. 2, 1. Here we go.
The screen. Yeah, the screen just went dark. It's not screen sharing anymore.
Oh, it's not screen sharing.
Yeah. So. Okay, there it is.
That was probably the Roku. That wasn't on live. That was the TV itself.
Oh, okay.
I think it has a time on it. That's probably why it cuts out sometimes.
Oh, okay. Got you. All right. Yeah, kind of nervy,
Understand. So that's why that
you guys counted down and this thing went blank. The screen went blank completely back here. Yeah. So
All right. So yeah, we keep you posted just in case we see something
please.
happening again.
So a lot of these condos are only basically up for cash. If you don't have cash, you just can't buy it, because a lot of folks are putting these deals together, agents that doesn't understand this process and how it works and with the Fannie Mae guidelines and so forth,
Mhm.
are putting deals together only to find out 3 days before closing the lender
they
comes to you
can't.
until you can't close. So the buyer is out of their inspection fee, because most buyers do inspect,
Right.
and they're out of the actual appraisal fee, which is another $300-400, so close to $1,000.
So it's safe to say what I mentioned earlier, that maybe they're going to end up have to converting all these condos back into apartment complexes,
Yes.
because
Yeah.
if Fannie Mae have this restriction, and the associations are adjusting the policy to accommodate for the investors, they might have to decide to revert back to being an apartment complex. Or if it was never apartment complex to begin with, they probably have to get some kind of new guidelines or new regulate. I don't know what would be passed to get them to convert over to an apartment, so they can actually see some kind of return on their investment. Would you say that's safe to say that may be a choice that they have to make,
Probably.
forced to make?
Probably. They're going to have to do that. And this is only in the state of Florida. Just to let you know, the associations are not actually trying to accommodate investors. It just so happened that the buyer have to go find an investor
Mm.
to purchase that property, because Fannie Mae won't touch it. But in other words, is that here's the thing, right?
Mhm.
Once the actual association increases the deductible on the master insurance policy for the building,
Mhm.
right, to lower the premium, so the actual owners can pay less on their
On their
maintenance, right?
Mhm.
And they increase it past the 5%. What I'm saying is that you can't go get your traditional loan to purchase there. You have to go to a subprime lender, or what we call a non-qualified mortgage, a non-QM loan,
Mm.
and pay the penalty with high interest rate and all the things that comes along with getting a subprime loan, or just go and rent and let the person who have the cash come in and make that
And buy.
purchase. And for that reason, that eliminates another pool of buyers in the marketplace, because
They can't get a Fannie Mae.
right.
Right.
So that's the reason for disaster zone as well.
How would that affect the other properties around that's not don't have to deal with this? Let's say, I think I already answered my own question, because of the law, it automatically affects everybody. But what if a community and it's a condo, and every single unit is owned, maybe lived in or not lived in, maybe it's a vacation home? Would it also affect them? Or would it only affect them if they wanted to sell? Like what the situation with Fannie and the disaster zone and all of that stuff. I'm just trying to make sense of this to simplify it in your explanation.
Yeah, so of course it does affect them, because they see their value go down as well. Because remember, disaster zone, they're referring
Comms.
to it as comms, value goes down.
Right.
So they begin to see their equity. I'm talking,
Depreciate.
yeah, their property begin to depreciate. So they are rushing to sell as well. I sold maybe 4 properties within the past 30 days for 4 Canadians, because they're trying to get out of Dodge as well. So it's like a domino theory. It affects it affects most condo owners. So even though they paid cash and they're able to actually afford the maintenance fee, but if you have a condo now that worth $200,000, and you know, because of what's going on, ultimately in a couple of months or 2 or maybe a year,
It might be
it's gonna-
150.
It might be 150 or maybe 100,000. You just want to cut your losses right then and there and run away. So that's the reason why we have more supplies of condos on the market now than actual buyers.
That's why people are rushing to sell.
People are rushing to sell and they're ready to make a deal with you because also there are assessments that's coming because now they have to fix load bearing walls. They have to do this and meet all these standards I mentioned earlier, the structural integrity reserve standard and the actual milestone study, and put money in reserves. All that calls for cash. So you're buying a property, and of course most of the sellers pay off the maintenance, pay off the assessment, but they're also a future assessment because there are a lot of things that needs to be done. And like I said earlier, most of these building has to meet those guidelines. They're all up for assessment. Everyone is. Structural integrity reserve engineers are busy these days. You can't find one. They're working really hard, especially they're relocating to Florida. They're down here and they're working and they're signing those contracts.
A thought came to mind that was prompting me to ask based on what you were saying and in terms of the value going down. When someone is going to buy a property, obviously they have to sign a contract, right? And when they sign the contract, they're on the hook for the cost of all the assessment that needs to be done, right?
Yes, there's a box. It's arbitrary. It's up to the discretion. It can be negotiable. It can be negotiated, right? But in most cases, most buyers are not going to take on an assessment. So the buyer will have the buyer's agent check that box that the seller will pay all assessment and or before closing date.
Oh, okay. Because I know someone that was buying a property and he signed a contract and then he found out that there was a problem with the roof and he wanted to back out, and the seller he put out money to do some assessment and he was on the hook and the seller held him to it, so he was out, I think, $2,500, something like that. What? So, as in your experience, have you known that to happen to anyone?
Yeah, I know, but when you get a smart agent and a sharp agent and understand the process, very easy. In Florida on the contract, there's another form that says, listen, if you do not have the condominium documents, you can request that. And then while you have that, as soon as you receive that document, you can back out of the deal. Because if that's the reason why you have to deliver those condo docs to the actual buyer in a certain time period to lock them in. Because if you don't want to let them out, they say, okay, may I have the condo docs? And they have 3 days to read it and back out from the date of receiving. So all I need to do is just request the condo docs from you. And as soon as I received those condo docs, I said, hey, Mr. Seller, I don't like what I see in these condo docs. And it just... Gotcha.
And if they don't know and wait that period out or be tricked to waste that period out and they don't request the condo docs, they're screwed. They can't back out anymore. And now they're on the hook, right?
Correct. Right. If you don't request the condo docs, that's the reason why you'll see some folks will kick the can down the road on asking for those condo docs to find a way of backing out.
Does that also affect potential home buyers as well? Not just condo, but potential home buyers as well?
Yeah, the home buyers are the one that can actually that requests the condo docs to back out of the deal and get the entire...
I'm talking in terms of a house, not condo, but a house.
No.
So what's the difference between the condo and the house in purchasing?
There's a lot more restriction when it comes to with a condo. There's no restriction and there's no association associated with a most single family home.
Let's put a addition to that, because I recently watched a video of a woman. I think she's 65 years old, and she lives in an association. Right? I think you might have wanted to hold off on that one, right? She lived in association from she was young, and now she's 65 and got into some crisis, and she owed $3,500. And they did not send her notice to her, did not inform her in any way that they're going to sell her home. And it was based on maintenance fees. Her home is already paid off. Nothing is owed on it. But maintenance fee, she was back behind on maintenance fee, $3,500. So right underneath her nose, they sold her home, 300 and something $1,000, right? And told her she had 30 days to get out. Does that same association that applies to the condo also applies to people that live in association where they have to pay HOA fees?
Does it apply to someone that lives, I think you're asking, that lives in a single family house
Yes,
that has to pay
yes.
association
Yes.
fees? Absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely
Can
not.
you clarify that for me to understand and also for the listeners to understand? Because
Why?
based on what you were saying, I was kind of trying to figure out if it affected the ones that live in a single family home in an association.
Right. So a single family home is not a condo.
Right.
A
right.
condo is a condo.
Condo, right,
And
right.
there are specific laws that's written specifically for condos in the state of Florida.
Mm.
And single family homes doesn't share the same law. So when you look at a condo rider, a
Mhm.
rider, which is an addendum, a part of the contract,
Mhm.
right? The single family home does not need that addendum, or it does, so that doesn't apply to them,
Mhm.
to a single family home,
Mhm.
because it's not a condo, so it's not treated as a condo. It's a single family home.
Mhm.
So the single family home being sold, and some you have to pay maintenance, but it's not a condo. It's not underneath the condo provision as
Mhm.
it is it's on a completely provision, which is some a single family home, which is some rules and regulation. It's
Mhm.
not even a townhouse. Something completely different, right?
Okay.
Right.
So I want to ask this question. Two questions. Do you invest outside of Florida? Don't say it. Do you also invest outside of Florida? And what is your recommendation to the viewers? Should they, if they were contemplating buying a home, should they buy it where there's a homeowners association, or just eliminate that out of their mind altogether?
It depends. Not everyone want to cut their grass. Not everyone wants to take care of a yard space. Not everyone wants to do that. They just
Mhm.
want to take care of the interior of the property
Mm-hmm.
and have someone worry about the outside, or leave the responsibility of the exterior to someone else. There are folks out there like that,
Mm-hmm.
right? I am completely different. I would rather personally
Cut your own
I'd
lawn.
have pay from someone to cut the
Really?
lawn, or cut it myself.
Oh,
Either
okay.
or, cut my
Yeah.
own lawn, responsible for the cutting
Right.
the lawn. All right. I also want to have the actual. I'm a control freak. I want to control the deal. If I have a single family home and I need to rent it out,
Mm-hmm.
there's no restriction. I can rent it out. If I want to operate it as an Airbnb,
Mm-hmm.
I want to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
A condo, anyone that's going to live into that particular condo has to be approved by the condo board. They have to do
Right.
background checks,
That's true.
etc. You can't paint it the color you want. I want to paint my house the color I want.
Inside as well?
The inside, no, you're responsible for the inside. You can paint the inside any
Okay.
color you want. But the exterior, if I want to paint it green, I want to paint it green, even though I would not paint it green. I like neutral colors.
Right. It
Of
only
course,
makes sense. It's
right,
natural.
neutral color. Exactly.
Looks better.
Like gray, I like gray, like, off-white, that type of thing.
Right.
The association, you can't paint the exterior the color you would prefer. You would have to, dictate the color that you paint that exterior.
And it's rightfully so, because the condo is part of an entire
Yes.
not system, but entire building.
Yes.
So if one unit is painted half white and the other one is painted, rest of it is painted gray, it's just going to look off. There's no uniformity there, and that essentially will look ugly, right?
Yeah,
So-
correct. And it depends again what folks love and and it would look mismatched, and it wouldn't be
Right.
uniform, as you said.
Right.
And there are other things too. You can have a motorcycle, a pickup truck, a work van, things of that nature. You can't rent it out. If you want to sell right away, and the person is not approved, now you have to put your property back on the market. So there are too many restrictions. So for that, I'm not interested in condos. I don't think it's smart to if my property is vacant today,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes.
I would love to get it rented right away if it's a tenant property. Get
Mhm.
someone in there right away, right? Correct.
Correct.
You can have a condo and 2-3 people get denied and you're waiting to get the right person 2, 3, 4 months. I don't want that kind of restriction.
And they would be denied only because of their association, not because of their credentials. If their credentials are fine, their right credit score, their finances are right, they look like they are a good candidate for renting, but the association figures that they found some anomaly and they say, okay, you're not suitable for living here. They can make any decision. They can make a decision based on any issues that they may find, even if it doesn't make sense in the deal.
Yeah. Yeah, even if it doesn't make sense. Of course, they can't just deny you like that. They have to give you a reason why.
Mm-hmm.
But these associations are so powerful today. They come up with all these things, man.
How did they become so powerful?
You own something in the building, so you can't buy a second unit. You appears as though you're going to be renting this unit out. So, for whatever reason, they just deny you based on something that they think you will be violating, right?
Mhm.
And I've seen it a lot. I've seen it. I've seen some weird things happen. Animals, if you have a dog, it might be a problem, or if you mention anything with respect to a dog or a cat, no pets. If you have maybe a grandchild that it's just so many things that restrict you from even want to own a condo, right? As an investor,
Mhm.
from an investor standpoint, if you're an investor, you don't want to own a condo. Honestly, I mean, if you can be you can be an investor over here
Mhm.
with a single family home, and you rent to someone with a child, 5 years old, 10 years old. And then over here now, you have someone in a 55 plus community have a property as an investment, and a family comes in with a 5-year-old daughter, can't rent it to that person, or a 10-year-old daughter. So, there's so many restrictions.
Question I want to ask.
So I said go elsewhere where there's flexibility. That's what I think.
Right. There's a question I want to ask. Back in the past, I think it was back in the 70s or maybe 60s, co-ops became a thing, right? And when co-ops became a thing, it was successful. Now, my thought is, association, is that a successor to co-ops? Maybe they were looking for another way, a way that they could generate money, because co-ops weren't really generating money. It was just everybody cooperate to have a building, and there maybe a store in downstairs or other things that were going on. Is outgrow of is the association for condos an outgrow of like a co-op, like a successor? Am I making sense there?
Right. I hear what you're saying. Well, a lot of folks don't understand the concept of co-op and how it works, right? So you'll find more people buying condos more than anything else.
Could you talk about co-ops, since I mentioned it, so they can understand how it works?
Yeah. So folks, basically a condo, you have a deed for your condo, right? You own this condo, it's yours, you have a deed.
Yeah.
A co-op, you don't have a deed. You have a
Right.
proprietary lease. So you buying a share within the building. It's a space, right? So this share belongs to you. It's like a cake, and this piece is yours, and this piece is mine, and that piece is mine. And people just don't like the way that sounds.
Because they don't understand that there is more freedom when you have a co-op as opposed to having an association making certain mandates. And if someone says to me, hey, here's a house, and it has 5 bedrooms, and we all share the common space. But the room that you're in, you own that room. It's yours. No one can tell you what to do. That's a cooperative, right? But some people will say, no. I want to make decisions of everybody. Let's say you have a megalomaniac that lives in the house, like a control freak, right?
Right.
And that person says, hey, I want to control everything that's going on in the house. I need to know what you're doing in your room, even if that person doesn't own the home, right? But I want to know what's going on in your room because it may affect me, right? You may have your TV up a little bit too loud.
Right.
And rather than coming up with a set of guidelines that would make everybody reasonably accommodate each other, they want to now control what's happening in the other room. So in essence, what happens now, you have an association because now one person or maybe 2 or 3 decide that we want to control everything that's going on. And in my mind, when I think about it, an association is a outgrow, a successor of what a co-op is in layman terms to me. I don't know if that makes sense in my in my opinion, my reasonable opinion.
A co-op and a actual condo is just the way you hold ownership.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it comes down to.
Right.
Were there more co-ops than actual condos in the state of Florida? I think that's what you're. That's
At one point, because it started in New York. The co-ops, I believe, they started in New York. Yeah. So did we have co-ops down here, and then after a while it outgrew itself, and the association became a successor of the co-ops.
Right. I think that's all that question is. Do we have more actual co-ops at one point before we have all these condos?
Right.
I'm not honestly. I wouldn't be able to answer that question, but I can get back to you on that.
Mm-hmm.
But here I can tell you this is that we do not have too many co-ops left, and the main difference between a condominium and an actual co-op is the way you hold title. Right? The way you hold the ownership. And condo, you have your deed, you have a proprietary lease. With a actual co-op, and a condo, you have your deed.
Mm-hmm.
So, and a lot of folks just don't understand that concept. Even you find that a lot of New Yorkers down here still own the co-op because they understand how it works. You understand, but some folks just don't understand that you don't get a deed.
Ignorance is bliss, because if most people understand that a co-op is far more beneficial than owning a condo, I think more people would opt to go in the opposite direction of owning a condominium. Because go ahead.
And if you try to get finance for a co-op, and you see what happens, you'll never get a co-op. You have to buy cash. So that is another restriction as well. So you'll find that folks are more apt to go for the actual condo because folks want things simple. They don't want it complicated. And if I'm going to have to find someone with cash to actually later on down the road, I'm eliminating a whole lot of buyers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So be flexible. I want to be able to make it available to actual cash buyers and someone who has finance. So let's just go for the co-op and not have to deal with the headache of owning a co-op. Let's go for the condominium. Condominium.
I understand what you meant. Yeah.
And not
go for the co-op.
Go for the co-op and having to deal with trying to sell it later on to only cash buyers.
You know what? I think maybe that's just me and my ignorance, but I think if, let's say, someone that have hundreds of millions of dollars decide, hey, let's build a building, and we're going to do a compromise, to say, so to speak, as we're going to treat it like a condo, but it's going to be we're going to operate it like a co-op. I think that would best fit the ease of a lot of people, where when it's time to sell, they can sell it like a condo, but ownership and regulation operates like a co-op. I think that would actually be beneficial for a lot of people. I don't know if I'm just wishful thinking for me, but I think. Tell me.
You know, there's a saying that ideas have no value until you do something with it, right? And then you make it valuable, right? So that's wishful thinking, and at the same time we can make that a reality.
Yeah.
You know, but it's think about this guy. I don't want to call his name. He owns Westgate.
Okay, so the owner of Westgate.
Yeah.
So you guys can look that up.
All right.
Westgate, is that a real estate company, or because there's also other companies called Westgate?
He's in real estate.
So it's Westgate. It's Westgate.
Westgate Resort.
Westgate Resort. So you guys can look that up.
Okay.
All right, and he owns real estate, but it's basically timeshare. So you're buying this prop.
That's a whole nother animal. Timeshare.
You're buying this thing, and you can only stay there for a certain period of time designated during the year. But if you think about it, you never own it.
Right, it's true.
But you're paying all this maintenance fee.
As if you owned it.
So back to the co-op, we can create an illusion, right? As you mentioned earlier, it's a co-op, but we call it a condo.
A condo op.
A condo op.
Right.
Exactly.
A condo op.
You see what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So it can be an illusion that you make folks believe that it's this thing, but it's really that.
Right.
You know, like it's the same thing with timeshare. You make folks believe that they actually own this, but you realize that, wait a minute, I'm paying all this money and I go twice a year. I really don't own it.
Right.
And you try to get out of it, and it's...
You can take somebody to Alaska and sell them a glacier, and they'll buy it if you can convince them it's good for them.
Right.
Pun intended.
Right. Careful now.
Yeah.
So
it's this real estate market is, you know, I commend individuals like yourself that have been able to navigate, and sorry, I don't mean to leave out the boss, right? But I commend individuals like yourself. Sherry, you listening? She didn't hear, right? All right. I commend individuals like yourself that have been able to navigate through this real estate industry and the intricacies and the trickiness of it, and not lose your shirt, right? Because there's some people that go into it and they go into it with so much fervor and anticipation and ambition that they're going to succeed, and lose everything, right? When you were coming up in, well, you say you've been in for 25 years, right?
yes.
When you were starting, what systems did you have in place to make sure that you succeeded and not fail? Did you first get married, or did you start on your own? Because getting married is kind of like a system. You know, you and your wife get together and you decide you're going to do this. Okay, I'm going to do this. You're going to do that. And we're going to put these deals together. Or did you do it by yourself and then you met along the way? What system did you have in place to make sure that you did not lose your shirt?
Wow. Well, I tell you, marriage is a business.
True.
It's a business, right? And if you marry the wrong person, you'll find yourself out of business.
Right.
and she was there with me the whole way from Jump Street, not knowing anything about real estate, and actually.
For 20, so she's been there longer than 25 years.
Yeah.
Hey, Ray.
Yeah.
We need 2 rounds of applause and a yeah for that one.
I didn't just meet this woman here, man.
Come on, Ray. That's what I'm talking about. Say again? Really? No, that's good. And they're still together? No, that. Wow.
We're still rolling together, you see?
Yeah.
There's no, okay, I'm going to this place and
Yeah, because let me cut it right there. Because when we meet when we're at the gym, when we are at the gym, and I look to my left, there she comes. I look to my right, oh, she's just over there squatting or something,
yeah.
right? And then when we were talking about coming to the studio today, I said, you could bring your wife. And he was like, really? I could? I'm like, yeah, you could. And you're like, yeah, because I travel everywhere with her. And I'm like, that, sorry guys, this is going to sound kind of like soft, but it kind of melts my heart because when people are together for a long period of time, it's, you call it, of course, marriage is a business, right? It definitely is. But when you are with someone and it's the right person, it's more than just a business. Most people don't think marriage is a business, but it's a business. And they say, oh, that's my partner. But when I hear, and I'm going to rant a little bit right here, right?
Right.
But when they say, oh, we're in a relationship and that's my partner, in my mind, that's bullshit.
Stupid.
Right? Because you don't understand the definition of a partner, right? You have the word partnership and you have partner. And they say, how are you a partner? Of course, we're in this era now where everybody's woke and they say, oh, you're not my spouse, you're my partner. And everything is equal. But that's not true, right? What you and your wife have is actually a partnership. You met a long time ago. You have children. You run a business together. That's actually a fruitful partnership. That's she's more than just your spouse. She's your partner. And when you hear people say, that's my partner, and you ask them, what makes you make your partner? Oh, I'm the woman. He's the man. That's my partner. We're equal. And
not if you think you and your wife are equal.
and it makes you have to wonder why they say that. Because a lot of people want the outcome. They don't want to work through the process. They want the outcome, right? So what you and your wife have is the actual outcome of a true partnership as a relationship, right? So I rant there for a bit because I want you to actually talk about it now. Now that you talked about your children, 2 children, right? One is 35 and one is old.
20, she's going to be 20. Birthday's coming up in a couple of months here.
Congratulations, man. Congratulations, yeah.
Appreciate it.
How long ago you guys met? And, I know we're kind of deviating a bit from it, but I'm really interested. And I think we might have, Ray, we might have to do another show for the dating Q&A, and then you guys could actually talk about that because it's really interesting. I like when relationships are together for a long time and it actually makes sense. And you guys make sense.
Right.
Right.
So the question is, when did we meet? Is that
when did you meet? It's a long question because originally I asked, did you start off as a real estate investor and agent, or did you guys meet and decide to start it together? What was that like? Unpack that for me a bit.
Yes. So when we met, I did not know anything about real estate at all. Wasn't in real estate.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing something completely different. All right, and was just young and just doing silly things.
Mm-hmm.
And just trying out different things. And of course, I went to school for engineering, of course. And
what kind of engineering?
Mechanical.
Mechanical, okay.
Mechanical engineering, and also got in transportation and so forth, and was just trying out different things.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this was the journey to get to real estate. So throughout that process, she was there with me.
You met in college?
I remember when she was in my big tractor trailer. Because right?
Wow.
Yeah.
So you met as teenagers?
I think I met her in the hospital when I was 2 years old, when I was a month old, right? Let me stop. She was looking at my Pampers. I was looking back at her Pampers. But listen, just around just around high school,
Mhm.
just around there.
High school.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. And it kind of took off from there.
Mhm.
Um,
What do you say in high school? 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade.
I think her memory is a lot better than my memory because she.
Oh, so oh, oh,
Yeah.
that's nice, man.
I don't think anybody heard that. You gotta.
No. I don't
gotta
mind.
repeat.
I don't mind them not hearing because I want to have both of them back to talk about that specifically because
Oh, man.
I think that would be an interesting story because one of the shows that we do is called Dating Q&A, and
Wow.
and as a single man, I always aspired to have a long-term relationship, but you know, was never that lucky. Maybe I should have been hanging around. Maybe I should have met you since 19 how long and hang around you, and I would have fell in that same trenches with you and meet the right person. But that didn't work out for me.
You know what's good, man? When you can meet, when you meet folks' parents, like I know her dad.
Mhm.
He's no longer with us, but
Right.
I met her dad,
Right.
and she met my dad, which is no longer with us as well.
Right.
You understand?
Yeah.
And I know her mom, and she knows my mom. So I know the type of values her dad installed in her.
Right.
But let's say I was at my age now and going out to meet someone. Can you imagine what that person have been through? Probably have a couple of kids already, don't know her parents, or parents probably pass away, don't know the value that was handed down. But I think that I have a responsibility to do the right thing, and I know her dad, and I know what he would have wanted for her. So
Mhm.
he kind of laid the groundwork for that as
you,
well,
right.
to know to treat her in that manner,
Right.
right? So to me, that's important to
Yeah.
know where she came from,
Yeah. Know her stock. Know her stock.
right?
Yeah.
But to start now, if I was a single guy, to start now meeting someone, don't know how her parents were, how they treated her, and I know she was a daddy's girl.
Mm.
So if she was a daddy's girl and she loved her dad and her parents were married for more than 40-something years, almost 50 years, I know the kind of value that's coming with that. I know she's not coming from a foster home, from a potentially all type of issues there, drug
Right.
problems. I know that.
Yeah.
She doesn't belong to the streets. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's to me that's important. So
Right.
I think it makes it a lot easier for me
Mhm.
knowing that she understands what stability is about. She
About.
understood it at that time,
Right.
and my
So,
parents were.
Let me interject.
stable as well.
Yeah. So everybody, as you can tell, as you can hear, that it's always important to know the person that you are going to be in a relationship with because that person can make or break you. So they've been doing business for years and they're very successful at what they're doing because they are the true definition of what a partner is. And it has helped them to be successful real estate investors. And take that as a lesson. If you guys want to get into any business, find a partner that is going to coincide with what you want to do as a entrepreneur. Whatever is it that you want to do, just make sure you find the right person and you could be successful like Mr. Bernie right here. Right?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when it's time to go to a Tony Robbins event, she was like, "Okay, let's go." 'Cause
No-
we've been there.
No pushback.
No pushback. She understands what personal development is all about. So,
Right,
she
right.
understands the process.
So one of my other question in that first question, when I said it was 2-part, do you also invest outside of Florida?
Yes. Yeah. Correct. Yeah.
So what states do you invest? Because you say you would not do any investment in New York or California.
There are properties that we own in New York. Property.
Like a
Yeah,
home,
yeah.
single family home?
A little
Small.
three-story home.
How many units?
Three floors.
3 floors,
And a
10, 20
basement.
unit.
4 doors.
Oh, so
Yeah.
fourplex.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh,
Like New York. We use,
vertical structure.
yeah, we use our air rights in New York. We love our air rights. So
How high up is it?
Would say about 40 feet.
Okay,
40 feet,
okay. And that's the only one you own in New York?
No, we'll go to North Carolina. We'll go to Georgia. We'll go to Arizona. We'll go to the Midwest.
My best friend is trying to get me to go to Oklahoma because he says out there is a development. There's a lot of development, and the government is looking for people to come there and set up business and stuff like that. Maybe you want to consider going there. You know, I could put you in touch with him, and you guys could have a conversation. He lives there. He was a cop here in Florida for 10 years, and he had retired, and we started a business together, and some stuff happened. It wasn't our fault why it failed, and he decided to do it again, living in Port St. Lucie. When he was in Port St. Lucie, when he was in Port St. Lucie, by the way, the real estate, it was like most of it was really dormant. And in the last 2-3 years, you go to Port St. Lucie now, it's like a metropolis, right? I don't know if you ever, when last you've been up that way.
Yeah, I've been there.
Okay.
Yeah.
You own any property up there?
Own a couple of properties up there, yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you know
Duplex.
what it's like up there now, right?
Yeah.
And he retired from the police force and went to Oklahoma, and he's doing pretty well over there.
Yeah, as long as you have population growth, it you definitely want to have that because that does drive, the marketplace.
Okay.
If you're at a location where they just have like maybe an Amazon, if they shut that thing down, you're out of business. So you definitely want to be somewhere where there are a lot of population growth. Dallas, Fort Worth,
Houston.
Okay. Of course, definitely Arizona market has been always, it's always a great market.
So the video is talking about, right?
Yeah.
Is why they're experiencing what they're experiencing from Real Page.
Yeah, and you could have been an investor in one of those deals too.
Yeah.
You could. Yeah, you're just an LP, and you give them your money, $1 million or 500,000. And they take it and invest. You're getting a pref, and they're doing whatever they're doing. But you don't care about that as long as they're paying you what you're paying.
Do you take in people that want to invest with you? Like work with people that want to invest with you?
I recommend them.
You right?
I do recommend them.
To other people?
Yeah.
You don't work with them yourself?
I've done that before because it's just a matter of we just set up a business agreement. And everything's understood on paper.
Okay.
Documentation beats conversation. So
right, that's true.
Sure.
That's true. Black and white.
Yeah. So operating agreement and so forth.
Black and white is always right.
Yeah.
Is there a minimum? Is there a minimum that you'd expect from someone that want to come in on a deal with you?
Of course, it has to be.
I know it have to make sense, but
it has to make sense.
There be a minimum, like what would that look like?
So in terms of dollar amount, there's no specific number that's actually I have written down. However, if we're looking at let's say we're looking at a flip then, right? Something that we're going to flip something. Not a multifamily, single family home. And they can bring in some value to the deal. So things can be done at a reduced cost to overall remodel the property. Of course, I would prefer that.
Okay.
And to work out something that way.
Over the money.
Over the money, yeah. Because we try to hold on to as much cash as possible.
Okay, you're right, and that made sense. I remember many years ago when I was doing property management, I'd got duped out of a lot of money. Because you remember at one point they were like, "Oh, you can learn real estate, and all you have to do is pay this money and come to a class." And I was no, it was true. I was naive enough to believe in that.
I was talking about them.
Okay. Then my apologies to you. Then
Okay.
I decided after I was duped to make the best out of it. So I said, okay, since I'm in rental property, I am going to find an investor that I'm going to ask to buy the property. We're going to hold the property, and I'm going to find people that live in the the apartment complex, and rent the home to them as a where they can buy the lease to. All right, they can lease to buy.
Lease
right?
option, yeah.
Lease option to
Buy with the option, yeah.
Right.
Lease with the option to buy.
And I found someone, and at that point I had a coworker, and I told him, because he and I were the one that went to the seminar and classes together, and I told him I found an investor, and the guy, right, he liked the idea so much that he called his father-in-law in New York and said, "Hey, I have an idea. 2 guys came to me, and this is the idea." And he told his father-in-law, and his father-in-law wired $5 million to him.
Damn.
And put it in an account, and he showed us the receipt. And I looked at the receipt; it says $5 million.
What?
So I know my job and his job was to go out. My job and my coworker / colleague's job was to go out and find these homes that he was going to buy, right? And on the paperwork, we are going to benefit from it. So we would rent it. We would benefit from a percentage of the rent. Our cut of that rent would have been, I think it was 40%, and he held 60. He would own 60%, right?
Yeah.
And when the property is sold, we would split it 50-50. That was a phenomenal deal, right?
Yeah, that's like a general partnership or the same apartment building type thing.
Right.
You have no money in there, but you're just putting in sweat equity.
Exactly.
Okay.
And my coworker / colleague walked away from the deal right before it was
Why?
right before it was supposed to happen. I found the first property. I told him, and he says, "Okay, let's look at the variables for this property before we make a decision to buy it." Everything checked out, and he was willing to move on the property. And my coworker / colleague walked away from the deal. And
Why?
because of that, me, rather than going back to him and saying, "Hey, this is what happened, but I'm willing to go forward," I became nervous that he's going to say, you guys are just getting ready to start, and he's going to walk out. "I don't want to invest with you." So I didn't go back and say anything to him. Then when I finally decided to go back and say something to him, it was like maybe around 6 months, could be 7 months. And he was like, "When you came in, both of you came in, I knew you were the smarter one." So it didn't surprise me when he walked away. But what you should have done was come back and explain to me what happened, and I would have only been working with you. But what you did did not come. You stayed away, and the money, I recently used it and bought a multi-family home. So he took the $5 million and bought a multi-family home with the $5 million. And that was that could have been my foray into going into real estate. And that's a story that I've lived with me for, I would say, 16 years, because this would happen like right before my daughter. And my daughter's 15. So this is about 16 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
Wow.
yeah, man. And every time I look back on it, and I can always remember the guy that was running the conference. I remember his name, and I also remember the guy that got the money from his father-in-law, put in the bank. All right, I'm still right now I'm talking to you, I'm looking at both of their faces. All right. And maybe if I'd met you back then, it would have probably been a different situation, and I've been a real estate investor too. But it's never too late. And I know someone like you, and I know someone like you they say you know the saying, if you want to be something, you have to be around the people that is doing that thing.
Correct.
Right? So maybe you and I meeting was actually for a future beneficial, advantageous for me, and also
Yes,
Yeah.
you're the sum total of the 5 people, closest
Exactly.
people you're around.
Yeah.
So,
true.
that's so true.
Well, the boss, I don't want to take her too much longer. She's hungry. I can also see.
She's not hearing that. If she heard that, she would laugh. You need to put on this headset and we'll hear those background things.
Yeah. I don't want her to start growing fang and decide that she's going to jump over the table and bite me. I'm just joking. All right. So, with guys, I appreciate you listening. I want to tell Bernie that you're a wonderful guy, man. It's good I met you in the gym, and having you here, I told you that when things worked itself out, I would have had you come in and we could have a conversation, and it had to be meaningful. So I think this was a meaningful conversation. Is there any last notes you want to add? Anything that you want anyone else to know, maybe about you, how they can get in touch with you, anything that you want to add?
Yeah, of course. So, real estate is something that I love, and real estate is responsible for most millionaires in the United States of America. I just want you to know that.
Right.
Right. So if you've been in real estate for more than maybe 10 years and you're investing at a high level, you're sitting happy, and it's a beautiful thing. You gave them my name already. I'm the guy to talk to. I am the investor. I am the realtor, and I sell properties anywhere in the United States because I have a large network of folks that I interact with, and they actually do it at a very high level, some the higher level than I do. So please reach out to me, and I would love to talk to you.
Yeah, we'll put the information for you to be able to contact him inside of the description,
Of course.
and then you guys can reach out to him. And if you guys can't get in touch with him, you can always reach out to us. And the number is at 1-844-PUT-ME-ON. That's 1-844-PUT-ME-ON. And that's 1-844-788-6366. And we'll make sure that you're able to get in touch with the man of the hour. Let's give him a round of applause. And thank you for thank the both of you for coming in. But with your agreeance to this, is that a word? Agreeance, right?
Yes, go for it.
All right. With your agreeance to this, I definitely want to have the both of you back to talk about your relationship, because I think it's inspirational to me, and I think it will be inspirational to everyone else. With the both of you going to be in camera, is that something that you'll be willing to do, Miss Lady? Here's why. There are a lot of young people out there, right? People in their 30s, 20s, and they need some kind of understanding. They need some kind of guidance to be able to know what a real relationship is like. And what they're doing now is not going to succeed for them in the long run. They're going to be in long-term relationships, and they're going to be fighting over dominance and power, trying to determine who's going to be in control. And their fathers are out of the picture, or their mothers are out of the picture. There's always something going on. And I think having people that have lived the experience, lived the life of what a true relationship is like, would be beneficial and advantageous for them to hear from the proverbial horse's mouth. So is that something that could get you to comment on? Yes? All right. Round of applause, everyone. I got a commitment. Yeah. All right. So we can wrap this one up. thank you, everyone. And we'll see you again. This was a very good show. And we're good to go like Flojo.
Yeah, and I want to thank you again for the opportunity. Thank you for having me here, and
thank you, man. Thank you for coming.
For really sharing with you guys and pouring into you, and also able to talk to you. I appreciate the opportunity.
This can be your home, man. You can come back anytime. We can sit in and just have a casual conversation about real estate. Bring some folks that have more, that could add more value to it, and because we have a segment that we call the Money Tools. We haven't started about on it yet. This was more of we did this under the moniker of Police and Policies, because this was more of a case that's going on, and so we needed a guru that understand what is going on and how it should be. So we could talk about money and how money really works and how finances really work. So that's something that you could come back many times. And,
of course, Yep, I'd love
just
to.
make sure when you're coming back, you have to promise me one thing. There's one thing you have to promise me.
What's that?
You have to bring the boss.
The boss is always with me.
All right.
The boss is always with me.
Yes. All right. That's good, man. Thank you, everyone. Anything else? Anything else?
Nothing else.
All
I
right.
think we said enough.
Yeah. Close out, Ray. We're good to go like Flojo. All right. So let me say one more thing. Again, anyone wants to get in touch with us, you want to support the channel, you can go to chat.tips to support the channel. And you want to get in touch with us to get on the show, right in the studio, you can go to 1-844-PUT-ME-ON, and you'll be able to get in touch with us, and we'll be able to do some business together, do some shows together. All right? Thank you, and have a great night. And that's it.